the government has introduced non-partisan politics in the conduct of local councils elections. The 2020 local government policy that was approved by Cabinet makes that provision that has been widely contentious among elections, players, including political parties. So this morning, to get sides of the APC and C4C, we have from the side of the SLPP, we've had from the side of the SLPP and NGC in yesterday's conversation. Well, in the studio this morning, we have Honorable Sir Charles of Coalition for Change, C4C. And also we have Sidi Yaya Tunis, Acting National Publicity Secretary of the All People's Congress APC party.
And also in our studio too, we have Minkailo Koma, and he's a spokesman, NRM, and we'll be speaking on the High Court's decision yesterday that has lifted an injunction him and others filed against the main opposition All People's Congress party to hold the delegates conference slated for last year January, among other things. Good morning and welcome to the show, Minkailo.
Thank you, Remy. Delighted to be here as always.
You're always welcome.
Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's the pleasure of being here.
Honorable Charles, let's start with you in this conversation. What do you make of where we are in this conversation already, that we're even starting a conversation like this in Sierra Leone at this time?
Thank you very much. In the first place, I would like our viewers and listeners to understand that the government hasn't introduced it yet. It has only gone through cabinet. It's at cabinet level. As lawmakers, members of parliament, we believe that haven't gone to cabinet, they will subsequently have to take it to parliament and we'll look at it, and until and unless parliament ratifies it before it becomes binding. Having said that, it is important for us to set the record straight. You know, this is a proposal the government is coming up with. And this proposal has huge implication on political parties. You understand? And in the process of coming up with this proposal, they are claiming that they engage political parties. We want to see at which stage do they engage political parties, because political parties have huge stake in this whole thing, right? I'll make it categorically clear that prior to the adoption of the recommendations of the consultants that the government hired to go through this entire thing, the review of the Local Government Act of 2004 and the Local Government Policy of 2010, right? Prior or during the process of the consultancy, no political parties were formally informed or we are involved in this whole thing.
Just to confirm that, Sidi Tunis, would you say the same for the APC? Were you consulted, informed, or was that discussion taken to the APC?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So like as I was saying, there was nothing like that, right? Only on the 22nd of December last year that the Minister of Local Government, the Ministry of Local Government, invited political parties at the conference hall of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We are told, as political parties, we are told that this is what they have done and this is what they have proposed.
So instead of consultation, you were informed.
We are all informed.
Now,
and even during that session, we made our position clear.
Which is?
That we will not accept key recommendations that are in the policy, proposal that are in the policy that has to do with the sustenance, right? Our maintenance of our democracy.
What parts of that proposal do you
like
agree
the area
with?
that has to...
And on what basis?
Okay, like in the area of the local government finances, okay, we accept the proposal that there should be a local government finance act that will help to guide the generation of local government finances, right, to run local councils. We agree with that. And when you come to the most contentious area, which I believe has become topical for now, is the area that has to do with the non-partisan thing in local council. This one was kicked at. We kicked against it strongly, right? Because we believe it is something that is very, very much hazardous to the existence of political party. It affects the operation of political party. We want to see how we can maintain multi-party democracy. If the government is taking political parties...
Does the party come up with that stance based on the interest of your political party or the interest of the people of the country?
We, as political parties, I believe every political party is built on its ideologies, and these ideologies are ideologies that they sell out to the people of Sierra Leone, that the people of Sierra Leone will look at and buy into if it's in their favor. As a political party, we are concerned about the well-being of Sierra Leoneans, even though we have our interest as a political party, but our interest doesn't supersede that of the interest of the people of Sierra Leone. I will tell you for a fact, I was here again a few months back last year, and I made this clear, that yes, indeed, there were preliminary consultation, which us as parliament, because I was in the committee on local government, I was fortunate to be in the committee of local government during the last parliamentary session. You understand? And we undertook our own move as a committee then. We went through right around all the councils in this country. In fact, here in Freetown, I was the lead facilitator for the consultation here in Freetown City Council. And the unanimous view that we gathered from our people then was that the issue of partisan inclusion in politics and local council should remain as it is, and that people who think they are popular enough to win over the wish of their people, they can go independent. And the constitution, the laws of our land as it is, makes provision for that. And so the people themselves find it unnecessary that we should take out political party out of this. Because the argument was, if we have political party controlling this council, right, popular candidates might not be chosen. You understand? And we kicked against that and said, no, if you think you are popular, there is room for you to go as independent candidate, right? And if you are popular, the people will vote you in. And they also argue that with political councils, that's how they call it, that with political council, they will forestall development of the people at the locality, because if the council, for instance, you take the Kono District Council, the Kwedus New Sembon City Council, a council that is dominated by the Coalition for Change political party, a party in opposition. They are arguing that if we have councils of such nature, right, the administration of those councils will not work in the interest of their people, but they will work in the interest of their political parties. Come on.
That's also very key before coming to CDR Tunis. And some other, the smaller political parties are saying this could be a good opportunity if we take off partisan politics into the council, because you know, some of those who don't have opportunity to go to council, because the big political parties, they believe they should give opportunity to those who are popular, like you said. But those who are not popular, who also want to go to council, will have the opportunity, because it's not a political thing.
That's the direct opposite of the reality. The picture you're painting there is the direct opposite of the reality, my brother. In fact, the involvement of political party at that local level provides a better opportunity for smaller parties to participate in our democracy than even the presidential and parliamentary elections. How many political parties in this country can boast of having parliamentary representation, or can boast of having 10% and above in presidential election? No way. But at local council level, believe you me, political parties, the smaller political parties will have the opportunity. Kono, for instance, the C4C political party, for instance. Now we control the whole of Kono district under our purview, right? Will it be possible for us to see we can push in for the presidency? Looking at our nation as it is, that's the level we believe that gives us the opportunity as smaller parties to be able to exercise our political franchise. you know, to be able to shape the minds of our people, to be able to contribute into the politics of this country. So the exclusion of political parties into local government elections is something that I believe will not go down well with any of the smaller parties, not to talk of the bigger parties.
Let me bring CDR Tunis into the conversation, like what Honorable Sir Charles talked. With regards to taking off the politics from council, and some might want to say, for example, if the APC is in power and the council being governed by, for example, the APC, and sometimes they actually don't want to come together in terms of giving support. Same goes to the APC as well.
Well, I don't think so, except if you have a central government that is not willing to work with opposition parties, as we are seeing now in the case of this current government. I mean, this is an excuse that the SLPP government has been putting forward, that political councils are mostly unwilling to work with, you know, governing parties, especially where the councils do not belong to the governing party. But that is not true. I mean, let us go back. I'll even start with countries that are far more developed than Sierra Leone, that have the same system that we have now. You take countries like the United States, the UK, their model of politics is the same as ours. At every level, you have political party representatives. But let us come back to Sierra Leone. Take the last 10 years. I always say this to people. Former President Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma did not have a single council seat in Kailan district, but he worked with the local council in Kailan and developed every corner of Kailan district. He worked with local council in Bo, Kenema, Moyamba, Pujon, where he did not have his party did not have a single council seat, but developed those areas, working with the councils of those areas. We have structures. We have the central government, and then we have the local council governance. The central government, every government makes the national development plan of this country, like we have now for this government. And then once the national development plan is developed, the central government sits with the local council's government and develop what we call the local council development plan that feeds into the central national development plan. Now, the responsibility of the central government is not so much bothered on the leadership of the local council. The central government's responsibility is to ensure that the structures, the administration that will ensure the local councils function properly are well established at the level of those councils. And the funding required for the councils to function properly are made available to those councils. Now, if you have a government that have allocated a certain amount of money to local council, annually, and every quarter funding is to be disbursed to those councils, like for example, you are to disburse 2 billion to Freetown City Council, as the case may be, and then you only disburse 25% of that money for the quarter, you do not expect that council to function properly. Councils are also expected to raise their own funding in order to, carry forward their activities. But if you have a government that repeatedly tries to block councils from raising their own revenue because they do not agree or they do not believe the council is their political party council, I mean, that is where we have challenges like this. But Remy, the central thing here is our political system is based on multi-party democracy. Our constitution is clear on that. That is why even to become president, one of the requirements, you have to belong to a political party. The same with parliament. And when the Local Council Act was developed, it was based on that. This issue of removing political parties from local council have come up many times. It came up during President Kaba's reign as president, and also under former President Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma. The people of this country repeatedly rejected it. And there is a very good reason for that. Now, if you look at the implementation of our democracy, at political party level. The local council level is where we have the highest number of representation. When you look at numbers of people, you know, sent into local councils. Now, if our politics is based on multi-party democracy, and then you remove political party involvement at that level where multi-party democracy is implemented at the highest, what you are simply doing is killing political party or multi-party democracy. And that is one aspect of it. And you look at the constitutionality, some of the conditionalities that they have come up with, even the requirement of becoming a mayor, becoming a district council chairman, becoming a councillor. They are telling us now that to become a mayor, you have to have a college degree. Our constitution did not say that. It is simply you have to be able to read or write to become a member of parliament. So now, the educational requirement to become a mayor or even a councillor is higher than that of a member of parliament.
But do you agree that the council played a pivotal when it comes into national development? And that is why I think the government believes that, okay, for example, if like you said, if we disburse money to the council and the council said, okay, this is not my party. Let us work in the interest of our party to ensure that we maintain our party, whether we are from the opposition or from the ruling government. And also, you know, if we move, or if the government are actually planning to remove the party politics into the council, if it works. And for example, I go to the council. I've been elected to the council as an independent person. I will able to work in the interest of the country, ensure that we put development together rather than me working for my political party.
It is the reverse. It is the central government that makes funding available for local councils. Now, as the way our governance system is set up at every level, that is why we have oversight committees in parliament. That is why we have monitoring and you know, evaluation units in every ministry, department, and agencies. These councils, you know, have political leaders, of course, that direct policies just like you have in ministries. It is not the minister that implements projects in ministries. The minister's job is merely directing policies. It is the same with council. You have clerical staff, administrative staff, professionals that implement government policies, and government projects. The political leaders direct the policies. So you have oversight committee at every level that monitor, you know, all of these government projects at various levels. So this idea that because councils do not belong to a certain political party, they will refuse to implement projects, that is not true. Councillors want to do more so that their people can elect them again when it comes to, you know, elections. If you fail to perform in your communities, they will not vote you in. But the fact of the matter is, what we are seeing clearly is a clear attempt by this administration to kill multi-party democracy in this country. You know, Remy, as it is now, the Constitution makes provision for people who want to run as independent to do so. But if you want to make it mandatory, and then you have a situation, for example, where in a particular local council, you have 50 people that come up who want to be councillors. Somebody has to do the selection. Somebody has to develop the criteria for the selection process to go through. Who will do that? It will have to be the sitting government, of course. And that is where the problem is. That is one aspect of this. And the second aspect is you are simply removing, you know, multi-party democracy from the level that it is highly implemented. Why aren't they saying the same for parliament?
Tunis,
yes.
The truth of the situation as it is in the country, you can't underestimate the power and influence the political parties have over the candidates to a point where it can control and affect their delivery. Now let's practicalize that situation using Ivonaki Sawyer as an example. She's the current mayor of the city, the capital city. And she's almost always having issues with the central government. And whether we accept it or not, it cannot be unconnected to the fact that she is under the APC. And of course, the central government is SLPP-led. So in all of this, how detrimental will the divorce be between local councils and partisan activities, truthfully, as a country, especially as we talk about how politics affects almost everything negatively in the country?
Well, that is why I said earlier, unless you have a central government which doesn't want to work with local councils. Now, let me take, the case of Yvonne and then go back, a couple of years ago, as in the case of Dr. Wusu Sano, mayor of the Bo City Council. Dr. Wusu Sano was SLPP. President Ernest Bai Kromah then was APC. President Dr. Ernest Bai Kromah had no issues working with Dr. Wusu Sano of Bo City Council, just as he had no issues working with Rex Bonafa of Kailan District Council. So that is why I said, unless you have a central government which doesn't believe in working with opposition parties, our democracy is such that it allows for bipartisan partnership. And that is what you see even in advanced democracies. Laws are developed in the interest of the country, and those laws are developed in mostly on bipartisan basis. That is why democracy is tailored that way. Political party democracy is tailored such that political parties are allowed to have inter-party dialogue.
And most of the conversation we're having, from your submissions that both of you gentlemen, it's more about how this affects your political parties rather than how it does affect the people of the country as we move towards development.
No, it is more about how we continue to strengthen our multi-party democracy. If we are to move away from multi-party democracy, we must then go back to the 1991 Constitution and make amendments. Why we are worried as political parties is the fact that such move, if we allow this move to go forward and remove local councils from, political parties from local councils, then we are moving closer to having a one-party system in this country. Because then you will have a situation wherein you have a central government controlling the bulk of the implementation of democracy at the lowest level. Look, also, let us not forget, political party democracy is based on inclusion. The way this policy is designed now, it is designed to exclude the bulk of our population from participating in politics.
You mean the political parties?
Look, Local Council Act is to ensure that development is implemented at the least level. And that is why the Act was deliberate in even saying that councillors are allowed to hold meetings in their local dialogues.
I'll deliberately ask both of you this. Do you disagree that political parties have a strong hold and influence on their candidates? Do you disagree?
The central government, in any case...
No, I'm not talking about the central government.
This is about...
No, hold on, Tunis. I'm deliberate with the question. Again, I'll ask you. Do you disagree that political parties have a strong hold and influence on their candidates?
Political parties have a way of making sure their representatives adhere to the policies and the rules and regulations of parties. But it is not political party that governs.
All right, I'll ask you the same question, Charles. Honorable Charles.
Let us have this clear. Political parties don't govern.
The thing is, you have said it earlier, that looking at our nation as it is, everything about Sierra Leone is politicized. You go to the youth council elections that were done across the country, the story is there. Because it is non-political, the central government used its influence right, to get all of these
do
things.
me a favor, just,
Now, if we
just
take
answer
it
that
to...
for me directly, then you can also add to
now,
that.
I will tell you with all certainty that yes, political parties have influence over their candidates in the sense that they help to direct and shape the operations of their candidates or their representative for them to work in line with their people. Because as a political party, you work with people.
So on that premise, Honorable Charles, on that premise, I come back to the question of how detrimental then would it be to the country if party politics is deleted from local council activity?
It will be very, very detrimental in the sense the people that are coming.
Premise, yes. My earlier question of the influence of these parties on their candidates.
Let me connect it.
Yeah, quickly, because we need to go to...
And the thing is, the political parties, as I said earlier, have control over their candidates, have control over their membership. They shape the minds of their membership. If you have a council that is 100% independent, right, they are not answerable to not any other authority. You have to understand that. But as political parties, we will look at our members that are in these positions and call them to order. If they are doing things that are contrary to the norms and values of the party that are in the interest of the people of this country. Because every political party wants number. You have to understand that. And if you embark on a policy that doesn't favor the people of this nation, you are bound to fail.
Okay, we'll come.
You have to understand that. So when you talk about the link, yes, it is in fact helpful. Because in the sense, if somebody is in the position of choice, for instance, as we are in parliament, right, we have political parties that will caution us whenever we want to go out of the way. But if you are an independent, you are answerable to nobody. The independent members of parliament, for instance, that we have, the independent members of parliament that we have, they can do whatever they want. They have nobody to answer to.
So
they are not answerable to anyone.
Its advantages and disadvantages.
You have to look at
we'll
it as
come
well.
back to that conversation. We'll come back to that conversation.
And let's quickly move over to our studio 2, where we have Minkailu Kuma, is a spokesman for NRM, and yesterday we saw a release from the courts, and that have actually thrown the case out of the court, and also the APC party will have chance now to go to their convention. You and others took the party to court.
Yes, Remy.
And why is that? And also, what does this mean now, being that the case has been thrown out of court?
Yeah, I shall come to that, but also permit me to say a few words on the topic under discussion. I am very interested in it.
Quickly.
Both Charles and CD are saying the facts. In fact, they are making very salient points. What the SLPP want to do is to monopolize the political space, hijack it for itself, and ensure that they introduce a one-party state again in this country under the dictates of democracy, which political parties like the APC and C4C, NGC, and many other viable political parties should not allow. Let them also recollect why the reintroductions of local government, why decentralization, and how public policies emanate. How do you take government to the doorstep of the people? Do they want to tell us they want to open the floodgates for politics or governance to be limited to the influential people that may have the powers to bulldoze their ways and actually form a syndicate with the government? That is actually bad for this country. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, Minka.
Now, I sit here fulfilled. I am delighted, and I am now convinced that the rule of law can be put into test, that the judiciary, more often than not, can also demonstrate a character far beyond reproach. You may recall that 3 years ago, we challenged the leadership of our party to review our constitution and generally to reform our party, if you like, to overhaul the entire structures of the APC. It has been an hackling task. We had not wanted to go to court. That was the last resort. We did all we could to ensure we did not go to court. But thank God, we were able to get people across the leadership, people across the board that showed interest since 1 year ago. We went to court in January 2020. Immediately after the injunction was slammed, we had former members of parliament, former ministers of government, members of NAC. They approached us and actually commenced a negotiation process. The leadership became very open. We sat on the negotiating table. We have negotiated for about 1 year. In November 2020, we were assembled in McKinney. We signed an MOU. And one of the fundamental requirements of that MOU was to end the matter in court. The next step is to adopt the constitution, the draft APC constitution. And then we shall proceed to implement the TIEMC, which is the Transition Interim Electoral Management Committee that has been put together by NRM and the party. So we have justifiable reasons to actually end this matter in court. However, since November, we have had a series of challenges. We had a colleague, the third plaintiff, who did refuse to sign. We did all we could to ensure we convinced him to sign. He did not sign. So we are left with no option also but to file a motion of discontinuance. Myself as the lead plaintiff that signed the affidavit and the undertaking, and the second plaintiff, Abdul Karim Kafoe, did agree to apply to the court for our action to be discontinued. That was granted about Friday last week or so. We made the application Friday last week or so, and it was granted on Monday. And we came back. The argument that was put forward by lawyer Adi Macaulay was convincing. Givao tried to do the contrary, and we are discharged to be recalled. And just yesterday, a final resolution was made by the court.
Now,
the matter was thrown out of court because there was no affidavit to support it.
Let's look at the situation, first of all, that led to the court case itself. You and members of NRM were concerned about how the APC was going, and you made series of demands. Prominent amongst, correct me if I'm wrong, was to get former president take a back seat, sort of, on activities of the APC. Some of those calls you made as NRM have not been granted. It's mere so, as you say it, based on promises as at now. So what happens in the future if all the concerns you had brought up as NRM would not be looked into or agreed upon as a political party? And now you've already withdrawn your case from the court. What happens if that situation emerges?
We are the authors of the concerns that took us to court. We initiated the reformation crusade in the APC, and nobody can better tell our story. We did not say former president should take the back seat or resign. Never did we state that in any of our documentations.
Just to clarify, what were you calling on that front about former president?
Let me come. I am a politician. And aside of being a politician, I am a political scholar too. I am a governance expert. I cannot say a sitting chairman should exit and leave a power vacuum. We did not say that. We know, of course, that...
What were you saying then?
Now, let me come. You've asked a question, Fibian. Allow the listeners to benefit from the answer that I am giving.
Yeah, as you're about to do that, also clarify for those of us who had the wrong perception. What were you saying then?
We called for reforms. Now, we said no executive should actually go unquestioned after losing an election. Yeah? We did say we want to know the reasons why the APC did not command majority insofar the presidency was concerned. We won majority of the seats in parliament, we won majority of the council, but we did not win the presidency. So as such, we have to ask questions. So what the party did was to also put together a 9-man committee to investigate the reasons as to why we did not win. That notwithstanding, we conducted a study around the country. We went to every district and chiefdom. We sent questionnaires abroad. We were able to gather a lot of information as to why the people think we did not win the elections. Prominent among them was the selection clause. It was not only the standard bearer that was selected. Members of parliament across the board were selected. Councillors were selected. Chairpersons and mayors of councils were selected. And as such, a lot of people became disgruntled. They did not participate in the process. That in itself ensured voter apathy. In my home district in Tonkolili, about 27,000 people did not vote for the APC. In Port Loko, about 30 or so thousand people did not vote. In Bombali, about 16 or so thousand people did not vote. Our votes in the western area did go up. We got about 60 or so percent. The SLPP increased their votes, about 40% in the western area. Rural, about 39%. Falabak, when Adugu, our votes dropped drastically. So we had to conduct a research to arrive at answers as why we did not command the majority as it used to be, especially in 2012. So we proposed to the party, we want the constitution to be reviewed. And as such, the CRC was also put in place. We had about 29 or 30 members to look into the CRC, to look into the constitution and review it. Even in that first draft, we also had some confrontation. Wherein Mohammed Sheridan Kamal Esquire did resign from the CRC because we saw a situation in which the selection clause was changed into a certain consultation clause. We came again and challenged that. We told them we are not going to take it. We do not want to say a certain consultation clause. You don't need to have consultation clause in a constitution. You can consult among yourselves, but let the end product be election. The leadership did not listen at that time. You know what they did? They did not circulate the constitution for the consumption of the membership. They went to Potloko to adopt it against the wishes of the majority of the people. So we, as the conscience keepers of the people, went to court to stop them. We did succeed in stopping them. But we did not go to court to destroy the APC. We went to court to seek redress, to have the leadership sit with us on the round table to address our internal issues. So we got that right. We sat and started the discussions or conversations about a year ago. We succeeded now in having an MOU. So you are saying we just have vague promises in your words, and that if these promises are not fulfilled, where then do we go? We have a memorandum of understanding. This memorandum of understanding contains a lot of articles in which we have agreed as to how we want to see the party going forward. The chairman himself, former president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, did sign that MOU. The National Secretary General did sign that MOU. Yeah? The leadership of NRM also did append their signatures or signatories on the MOU. So what we are looking forward to now is the implementation of the MOU. One such step is to end the matter in court. We have ended the matter in court. Again, let me also say this. We do not have to end every political matters permanently in court. That is not the best solution, more often than not. It is no novelty. We had an instance, the reference that was wrong, the case between Sir Yambasu and 3 others versus Ernest Baikroma and 5 others. That was the reference drawn by Adi Macaulay, in which the affidavit was sworn into by all the plaintiffs at that time.
Mikhail Koroma, hold your thoughts, gentlemen. We'll come right back to continue this conversation. Well, this is the second hour of Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV Television and Radio. And keep the conversation going on social media. Search for Africa Young Voices Media Empire on Facebook. Add your comments to the conversation. We still have in the main studio CDI Tunis and Honorable Charles, Sir Charles, they're here talking about the non-partisan politics from the council. from local councils. And in our studio too, we still have Minkailu Koroma talking about, this week, the NRM case that was taken to the court, has been withheld. So they're back to having the conversation as a political party. So before we went for the news, Minkailu, 2 quick things I want you to talk on. So for those of us who probably have lost track of what the NRM was calling for so far as it concerns to former President Ernest Bai Koroma being leader of the APC, what were your stance then? And also, secondly, as you're out of court now, what happens if the promises that has been made, even on pen, signing an MOU, are not kept and your concerns are not met? What happens?
Let me clarify the area of the challenge that the NRM was faced with insofar the former president, which chairman and leader is concerned. Yeah, we did not say he must take the exit door. Yeah, we did say we want the leadership of the APC to understand that the APC now needs a new face, that we need a new leadership with new insight and new energy. And that is our political party. We must not shy away from that. And we still hold the view, Fabian, that when a political party wants to actually present itself to be that formidable opposition, you have to have a change of leadership across the spectrum. We are not only limiting this to the chairman and leader, but we do believe that most holders of positions at the national executive level are not tired, and most of them must be retired. That particular view has not changed. There's nothing changing that. But what the NRM was actually calling for is this. We said we do not want to see selection in the constitution of our party. There is no more selection in our constitution. We also did say we want the anti-party activity clause to be addressed, because one cannot use it as a political witch hunt. Myself and CDR Tunis are members of the All People's Congress. If CDR Tunis is having problems with Minkailu, and both of us may want to eye the flag bearer position, I or CD must not use the anti-party activity clause to nail Minkailu, yeah, or Minkailu using it to nail CD. It has to be addressed because it was not properly defined. And now we do not have it again. We also did say we want to see a term limit in our constitution. We do not want to see one person holding positions ad infinitum or one person holding two positions in the party. We have members holding two positions at the same time, wherein we have a lot of resources in the party that are not holding positions. You can note that we have people at different organs holding positions at national level, at regional level, and at district level. That is wrong. We also challenge that. Now, in the new constitution or the draft constitution, there is a term limit. If I am voted for a period of 3 years, I can be re-elected, but after that, I can no longer run for that position. You have to give chance to another person. No one person should hold two positions again going forward. If you are a member of the Youth League Executive, you cannot be a member of the District Executive or a member of the Regional Executive or the National Executive. All that we have addressed. We also did say we do not want to see concentration of powers on one individual, because that individual will become too powerful. If you have the chairman, and the chairman is also the leader, and the chairman and leader happens to be elected president, you are chairman and leader of a political party and you are president of that state. You will not listen to anybody in your political party. You will just be making decisions that suits your comfort. We also did say we want a separation. The positions have been separated. Now, the person that we are going to elect as the standard bearer will be the leader of our party. The chairman will now be the executive officer of the party, who is to be directing the day-to-day administration of that political party. So that has been actually addressed. So most of the things NRM did ask for, we now have more than 100% of them being addressed. In fact, the leadership has been very magnanimous enough that they gave us more than we asked for. I stated here that even in the TIEMC, NRM is having 15 members. The party is having 10 members. Yeah? The TIEMC is going to be that body that will be responsible for the conduct of elections from ward to constituency, district to region, national officers of the party, and that of the standard bearer, which we call the flag bearer of the party. So what else do we have to ask for? If the leadership has shown that kind of concern, they have been sincere, they have bent backwards to accommodate all of our concerns, why do we need to continue to be in court? Let us also know that there is what is referred to as alternative dispute resolution. Yeah? You cannot settle all matters, especially political matters, permanently in court. So it was actually in good spirit that that committee of negotiators or peace facilitators was put together, that was headed by Dr. Ibrahim Bangura, supported by the Honorable Adikari Amar Kamara, the Dr. Joseph Sam Sisi, and a good number of other stalwarts of the party. So we have achieved a lot of what we asked for, if not above 100%. We cannot continue to be in court. But I also want to state it clearly that we are impressed, by the performance of the judiciary in this matter, that the position of the law was interpreted to the fullest. And this is what we want to see going forward. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Okay. When I opted out of the matter, considering that the law did say, without an affidavit, an application, an originating notice of motion cannot be supported. Some we are actually skeptical as to if the judiciary is going to do due diligence to that particular argument put forward by Adi Macaulay. We are worried, I must confess. But at the end of the day, the law was actually interpreted to the fullest. And remember, when you take a look at the principles of the rule of law, the law must be predictable. You, Fabian, must be able to predict that this matter in court, this should be the outcome, because this is the position of the law. We do not want to see if the law says this and at the end of the day another outcome is given. So we are impressed with the judiciary, we must say, and we are also satisfied with the conduct and performance of the leadership of our party. we are grateful. So going forward, there is no more a problem in the APC. It is a united party, and we are going to ensure we put all energies together to have a formidable opposition in the country.
Thank you very much, Mikhailo Kuruma, for your submission. We do have a lot of contributions by our Facebook viewers, and we would like to jump into that and add their voices to the conversation. But before we go there, just one quick question. Tunis and SAR, you've been selling this theory of, to say, the government, the current government, wants to reintroduce one-party system. And when the local councils on their own would not equivalent to a country having a one-party system, because again, there is still MPs, presidents, all those people who would have to be voted for based on political party levels. Well, especially for the presidency, not much so the MPs, because they're independent candidates. So this theory you're selling to the people that it's about reintroducing one-party system, how does the divorce between politics and local councils really make the country become a one-party state?
Thank you. It is about representation, Fabian. I mean, look at the number of councillors we have represented at every community across this nation. That is, like I stated earlier, that is where democracy is implemented the highest. So if we as a nation are practicing political party democracy, and then you remove the bulk of the democratic implementation away from political parties, you're simply introducing a system of governance at that level that is more autocratic, that simply is undemocratic, and simply does not include involvement of political parties. And that is the trouble. As we sit here now, you know, that could be the first step towards going to one-party state, as we have been preaching as political parties. Look, Fabian, you have about 17 political parties that participated in the 2018 elections. 75% of political parties were able to field in candidates at local council level, 75% of all parties, and in every district. Now, we only had about 20% of political parties that were able to field in candidates at parliamentary level, only about 20%. So now you do the math. If you remove political party participation at local council level, you are simply killing, especially those smaller parties who may not have the resources to participate at parliamentary or even presidential level. That is why it is important that these issues are brought to the attention of the general public. They are educated more on these issues. That is why it was also important that from the onset, political parties are involved in the consultation. You see,
I just checked something, Tunis, because I probably am getting something confused. So I tried to Google what makes a one-party state. And from just that, I see here a one-party system is a form of government where the country is ruled by a single political party, meaning only one political party exists, and the forming of other political parties is forbidden.
Yeah,
this is what I got from
exactly.
So again, coming back to that,
yes,
meaning the state is ruled only by one political party,
exactly,
and other parties are forbidden.
Exactly.
So I'm struggling to see the connection of that into this local council. Probably, Honourable Sir Charles, I'll bring you in on this. I'm struggling to see how taking partisan out of local councils really leads the country to one-party state.
But the reality is, you stated it earlier, we know how Sierra Leone is. Everything about this country is politics. You talk about youth election, it's politicized. You talk about chieftaincy at that local level, it's politicized. Now, if we give the government the opportunity to decide, to man local governance representation by taking out political party, from councils, it's just like giving the government a free day to do what they want. At the end of the day, you will hear political party grumblings every now and then. At the end of the day, nothing will be done about it.
But you yourself, quickly, because we need to go on to our text messages, Honorable. You yourself said everything in Sierra Leone has been...
As the politician, you cannot take politics out of it. So, if you say we will have a commission, for instance, that will be looking into the selection of candidates, independent candidates for the running of local councils, it will not be fair. It will not be independent. It will definitely be influenced by the central government. This is where my colleague Tunis is coming from. At the end of the day, the party in governance will gain prominence.
Okay,
and we want to see a situation where political parties will be given an opportunity to participate in the political process of our country.
Okay,
and the only avenue that is guaranteed for all political parties is at that local level. Okay. Not every political party will have the resources, right? And to run for parliamentary or either presidential. Let's get this clear. Okay. It's only at that local level that political parties, more political parties will have the opportunity to participate.
Because we need to run through the text message.
Let me give you a simple scenario here, because the consultant who did this job and made recommendation to government mostly made reference to Ghana.
And also I want to quote from what the consultant says. I actually just heard the quote he did with regards to that he said it's a way of decentralization process with regards taking partisan from the council.
Let me now come to that. Uganda started this. Now they are back to political party council elections because they found out it didn't work. I followed the just concluded Ghanaian elections, and one of the major debates they had was this issue, moving back to political party local council elections. One of the reasons they gave is this, and that is what we have been talking about. Because the councillors in communities in Ghana know that they are not elected on partisan basis. Most of the councillors were not even answerable to MPs in their constituencies. In fact, a good number of them were busy undermining development projects that MPs were taking to their constituencies because they were directly answerable to the central government and not the political parties. So that is one major developmental obstacle that they are having in Ghana right now, and they are also recommending that they move away from this non-partisan local council electoral process to partisan local council.
Do you think that will be the same in Sierra Leone if we go?
Even where we have parties participating in local councils elections currently, we have government always attempting to impose on local councils. So let alone where we now have government dictating what happens at council level.
Okay, quickly, let's go on to the text message because there are so many of them. We can't able to go through all of that. We start off with Jabati who is saying everything in Sierra Leone is on the edge. We are fear for prosperity with short mindset within citizens.
Eddie Grant says politicians are against this lovely act because it will deter them from selling party symbols to candidates. Also adding there, Eddie Grant says they are selfish people just talking and supporting ideas that favors their political parties. What of the masses that keep voting you guys into office? Have you thought of their welfare? Mr.
Komduazaki said it's sad when the Papa administration defending the proposed Local Council Act that was not inclusive, which is the essence of sidelining political parties from local council elections when the current Local Council Act gives opportunity to independent candidates to take part in local council elections. There is some fishy by the current administration.
AG Laonde says people are no longer buying parties' ideologies. It's also about selfishness. Nothing has ever favored the masses. Local councils should be free from political parties' symbols.
Jawati Mambo is saying after political parties left office, they always go back to the drawing board to see where they went wrong. But in such situations, the drawing board always become a battlefield to fight for supremacy or Sierra Leone.
Edward Tarashid says, good morning, AYV. I'm not a supporter of political parties, but what Mr. Kooma is saying, in my opinion, is right. An individual holding more than one office will drive one to be no listener.
Well, on Westford, Johnson says the electorate can make the difference in the if they wake up from their slumber by making the changes necessary, but so long as they continue voting in these two parties, it will be difficult for independent politicians to succeed. It all left with the electorate.
Andrew Thoronka says, I believe deleting politics at local level does not make sense, because if the person voted for is an opposition, still doesn't perform.
And also, the Almami says, and thank you all for keeping us warm in this winter by bringing us updating news from Mama Salon to this snow cold of Canada.
Okay. Ahmed Kamara says, I am afraid to what this government is talking, is taking this country slowly, to where this government is taking this country slowly. Everything is going downhill. Sad.
Ejelaunde says 80% of local councils are in favor of, I think Phoebe and I've actually read that.
No, I didn't read that.
Or the 80%, which says 80% of local councils are in favor of a non-partisan local council. It reflects on the people, not political parties, since they will always favor themselves in all issues. Let the people choose whom should represent them instead of parties chooses.
Mahmoud Fofana says, Phoebe and the independent candidates will be answerable to the people of constituents. We are tired of political parties.
And Ahmed Kamara said, I see no reason why they should abolish political parties in local elections. Even in the United States, everything is done via political parties' representatives.
Sulaiman Kooma says, very good for the APC as a political party, thanks to the NRM. In any democratic dispensation, there must be a level playing field. Mr. Minkailu Kooma and the NRM have done a great job.
And Christopher Disha, if we say, Mr. Charles, what you are saying is not correct, that the independent candidates are not answerable to anybody. They are answerable to the people who elected them. Wow,
so many
so
many comments and questions here. Okay, as we wrap it up, Remy, I think my internet is
okay. I think I want to let's see if I can able to get two more because of time. And Shaku Ahmed for Fona. Well, we're going to have Solomon Jamiu from NACOVAC. He has already said consider the role the vaccine have played in controlling and eradicating polio. We are lucky to have the vaccines from China. Thank you, China, and thank you, Papa government, for bringing for being a responsible government. Jamiu will be here to respond to that shortly, and as we will be discussing the over 2,000 vaccines from the People's Republic of China. And Edgar said, okay, Phoebe.
I have two comments here I'll just read quickly. Swissman says, why the 17 political parties and all of those political party leaders are very poor. That's why corruption is still existing in this little country with a population of 7 million. Our politicians need to invest in businesses and some other investment process and forget about politics, because a politician shouldn't be poor, otherwise he will be corrupt. Josman says, Phoebe, your definition is correct, but please, that is just the theory. Practically, one party simply means other political parties present and the government of the day goes on dictating the policy.
And quickly, and from Aman Sakuma, which will be my final text message for now. NRM fights is for the chairman for life. APC gave Kofia parliamentary symbol in 2018 and took it back from that young man.
And my final message is from Sori Bangua, who says Sierra Leone is suffering from development because too many political party ideologies. America that we can we can call the father of democracy, only have two political parties operating. Why is Sierra Leone not doing the same? And bring national manifesto for all incumbent government to avoid, we did this, we did that.
Okay, well, we don't have time, so what we'll do is we'll just ask the gentleman in the studio to respond to it a minute, and they're parting short as we close. To start off with you, Honorable Sir Charles.
Thank you very much. It's clear that the public out there has their views, some complementing and some contrasting. That is the beauty of democracy. We all are not expected to see the same way. That is why we are saying that as a political party, C4C, we are part of 13 other political parties who signed a position paper concerning this proposed local government policy that we think there are areas we need to look into, especially in the area of non-partisan inclusion in the local council elections. We believe it's unfair and it's something that works against the interest of political parties. In the area of educational qualification, you know, all of these things, I wonder, you know, if the consultant, you know, did thorough research before coming up with some of these proposals. How can you come with educational qualification for councillors and mayors when that is not mentioned for members of parliament and presidency? You understand? Okay. So these are some of the things, these are some of the lapses that are there in this proposal. They did it in rush. They did it vague, without thorough consultation, without thorough engagement of stakeholders. That is why they arrived at that. And mind you, the same consultant that did this proposal is the same consultant that did it again in 2010. You remember? Yeah. It's the same consultant. And why? What is the difference? We are talking about Sierra Leoneans, and this is the same Sierra Leone we are dealing with. Okay. Right? Okay. So for you to go out there, do the same thing, and it didn't work, and you're coming back and telling us that this time around it will work, how will it work? Okay, Honorable, thank you very much. We don't have how will it work? So on the whole, quickly, we want to say, in as much as we want to support this government and its drive to development, but we believe taking out political parties away from local council administration in any way will not help to push development in this country. If you want to bring in development, bring it for the people. You are doing it for the people and not on political party basis. Thank you.
We believe that this is a bad policy as far as strengthening democracy is concerned. It will weaken our democracy and it will eliminate political parties' participation at local council level, which will in turn take us closer to a more autocratic system of governance that our current democracy is not designed for. You know, even the consultation that they said they did, we have asked for the raw data because we have now come to realize that the bulk of the people that participated in those consultations were against this particular policy of removing political parties from local council elections. You know, I am a politician, and I have been in governance, so I know when a government wants to move us away from democracy. And now Fabian asked a question that, oh, we'll still have parliament, we'll still have, you know, but I know for sure that if we as Sierra Leoneans allow this policy to go through, and we move towards a non-partisan local council elections, tomorrow this government would come with another policy to remove political party symbols from parliament. They might come tomorrow and say, oh, let us go back to the proportional representation system, which will reduce political competition at parliamentary level. So this is a start. We know that this is a start. Their actions, their acts, their doings are all geared towards moving us away from democratic system of governance towards an autocratic one. Okay, and so let me close with this, just to say a little bit about the NRM situation. As a party, let me make it clear to our membership and our supporters that you know, we are very much excited about the court ruling, and we are happy about the reforms that we have been able to do in our party because of the, you know, actions of NRM and other organizations. And we have gone so far as to, you know, fulfilling most of the, you know, promises that we made as a political party as far as reform, constitutional amendments are concerned, and we will continue to act in the spirit designed in the Memorandum of Understanding so that we will ensure peace and unity within our party.
Okay, so
we'll go into 2023 elections as a stronger, united party, and very soon the National Advisory Committee will come up with new dates that will allow us to go into our conventions to adopt the constitution and also move forward to electing new executive members to serve our party going forward.
Thank you very much, Sidi Minkalu. In less than 30 seconds, please.
In less than 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Fabian, you watched as the definition of one-party state, but you did not look at the definition of multi-party to have connected that. The statement made by Sidi is 100% correct. When you want to look at one party, also look at multi-party. You must not just be limited to the presidency. It has to also go to local council representation. Because you, Remy, spoke about decentralization. That taking parties and politics from local government is not decentralization. Taking government to the doorstep of the people is decentralization. And political parties can do that effectively and efficiently. So we must not disconnect the two.
I'm sorry to interject you there in a few seconds. Although we would have wanted the 30 seconds to be in response to the NRM situation as we saved time.
The NRM situation has been settled. It has been settled by CD. I am satisfied.
Okay, you mentioned that I skipped the multi-party
definition.
The definition of multi-party. So
Exactly.
just quickly, as we all aid in helping our people, the same Google I used, it says a multi-party system is a political system in which multiple political parties across the political spectrum run for national election and all have the capacity to gain control of government offices separately or in coalition.
All
so
have
it comes
the
down
capacity.
to there is still space for MPs, presidency and all.
So we are in a multi-party, and that is why.
I like the fact that the conversation would continue in subsequent editions of Wake Up Sierra Leone.
That is why I referred you to a multi-party. We are in a multi-party and not a one-party. Thank you very much
that you've been speaking on the NRM issue. We've had Minkalu Kurma speaking on the NRM issue, Honorable Sir Charles from Coalition for Change, C4C, and CDI Tunis from All People's Congress, APC, talking about taking
the partisan
political partisan activities away from local councils. Thanks for your thoughts and thanks to the viewers there. This is